Good evening, everyone. I'm Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Jim Teske, and we got another episode of Teske's Tidbits for you tonight. Going to focus on a couple of things. First off, we're getting closer to Christmas. We're less than a week away. I thought I'd take a look at some of the climatology in terms of weather that has happened in the past on Christmas Day in Syracuse, the odds of a white Christmas, and also get into a little bit about what we're expecting leading up to Christmas in terms of some travel weather if you're getting ready to travel to visit friends and family. Then we'll take a break and we'll get into a little discussion about winter prep. I know we're a good month or so into the winter weather right now, but in terms of what you can do around your house, maybe there's still some things that you could do to get yourself ready for the bulk of the winter season. And also, it never hurts, whether it's in November or January, February, March, pointers in terms of traveling on the roads. You get a good view of some advice from a former Storm Team meteorologist. So that's coming up in the second half of the show. But first, let's talk a little bit about Christmas weather in Syracuse. And let's do some extremes here as we go back since 1902. And as you take a look at this, you could see that the warmest Christmas on record in Syracuse, 64 degrees. Although just a couple of years ago, I will mention that we had our warmest Christmas Eve. That was just a couple of years ago, I think. Coldest Christmas Day, 1980. That was 22 below. And also, the high temperature that Christmas was 2 below. That particular Christmas, we did not get above zero. And probably the most noteworthy one, and I bring this up because it's I have distinct memories of this one. I have memories of 1980 as well being cold. But in 1978, on Christmas Day, there was 15.6 inches of snow. Now, that's from midnight. And this particular storm was a storm that was not very well forecast. Of course, this is almost 50 years ago. I believe, if my memory serves me right, it was a forecast of rain going to snow, 1 to 3 inches of snow. And I do remember coming back from a Christmas Eve Mass that evening, and there was already wet snow accumulating. There was probably already an inch of snow on the ground. And for a good chunk of the evening and a little bit of overnight, I remember listening to the radio and listening to Christmas music, but also listening to them, the DJs updating the forecast. It went from a 1 to 3 inch forecast to a forecast of 2 to 4 to 4 to 8 to 6 to 12, and it kept changing. And you woke up the next morning, and it was a heavy, wet snow. I had an aunt and uncle who always came down for Christmas from Watertown. They did not come down that year, and it was a struggle just to clear our driveway of that heavy, wet snow. And I will also mention, in the successive years there, 1978, that was our snowiest winter. The next year, 1979, it wasn't the record warmest, but it was one of the warmest at 55. And then 1980, it was 22 below. And those three successive Christmases, very memorable weather in Syracuse. So let's take a look at the next thing on the list here, and that's the odds of snow, whether it be on the ground or in the air. Let's take a look at this. Since 1902, 53% have had at least an inch of snow on the ground in Syracuse. So if that's your benchmark, a little bit more than half have had snow on the ground. And 64%, almost two-thirds, have had at least some snow in the air on Christmas Day. So, the last, few winters, this decade in particular, have not had a lot of snow. Last year was a little different. We were a little bit closer to it. So you probably think, in particular, 50-50 chance of snow on the ground. Probably the last 5 years probably did not have many of those types of winters. But as you take a look at these numbers, as we dove in to the numbers here, there were only 3 Christmases in the last 10 that have not had at least an inch of snow on the ground. Last Christmas we had 4, but in 2023, 2020, and 2015, no snow on the ground. So they were green Christmases, but every other year over the last decade has had at least an inch of snow on the ground. So that's a little bit of the climatology of Christmas, but what about what's coming up here? Now, we're recording this on Thursday night, the 18th. The 6 to 10 day outlook going right into and past Christmas itself is showing a very strong signal for above normal temperatures that would stretch across a large majority of the United States, centered in particular over the southern plains. Here in central New York, we're right on the edge of below normal temperatures that would hang on over parts of the Northeast. And just to give you a sign, I was checking out the National Weather Service forecast for Dallas on Christmas Day. Their average high on Christmas Day is 57. They're forecasting 77 degrees on Christmas Day in Dallas, and much of what you see there would be well above normal temperatures over parts of the plains and then down into the southeast. If you have relatives, in Charlotte or Atlanta, Memphis, it's going to be well above normal. For us, our temperatures probably going to be near normal for the Christmas holiday and the days following that. But what about travel? A lot of people may be traveling, maybe not so much as what we see on Thanksgiving, but there's the weather. There's not much going on here in Syracuse. It's dry, but farther to the south, not a lot going on. A few showers from the Ohio Valley around Indianapolis, then down into the mid-Mississippi Valley. Pretty quiet in the southeast. We bring the view farther back to the west. It's pretty quiet over the southern plains. Mentioned the temperature on the 25th in Dallas being 77, and quiet over the plains. Really, the only active weather on the day before Christmas Eve would be across the west. Got a storm system that'll make headlines. Rain in Southern California. Rain, higher elevation snow into the Intermountain West and the Pacific Northwest, where they've already had a pretty stormy December, at least over the last week to 10 days. So that's probably the most active weather that we can find for Christmas Eve. Now, Christmas Day in Syracuse looks like there'll be some precipitation, mainly going to be in the form of rain. There's some concern, this is as of December 18th, that there could be a little wintry mix to start the day, maybe a little bit of freezing rain or sleet, especially northeast of Syracuse. But just keep it tuned to News Channel 9, localsyr.com. We're going to keep you updated on what the weather is going to be like on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So that's a little bit about the climatology. We're going to come back and talk a little bit about the preparation for winter and what you should be doing. That's coming up in the next segment here of Teske's Tidbits, so stay tuned for that. Hello, everyone. I'm Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Jim Teske, and welcome to Teske's Tidbits. And in this episode, we're into the winter season now, and I thought it'd be a good idea to talk about, some advice, things to do to prepare yourself, whether it's around your house or if you're getting ready to do some driving and there's some winter weather coming. I know for people that have been here for many years, you may think, oh, I've been through this drill before, but, it's always a good reminder, especially as we head into the beginning of the season, what things to do, what things that you can do ahead of time to prepare and be ready for winter weather, because as we like to say in the weather office, this is our severe weather season, because more than anything else, we get the snow, we get the ice, and that's the thing that causes the biggest problems, it seems, for us here in central New York. And for that, we're bringing in Cheryl Nelson, meteorologist Cheryl Nelson. She's the CEO of Prepare for Share and a former Storm Team member. So she has, she can give us some good advice because she has lived here in central New York. Cheryl, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you, Jim. Always happy to be here. And yes, I was a member of the Storm team back from 2002 to 2003. So I worked with you, Jim, and all the folks there. And I lived in Oswego County for several years. I was there through some major lake effect snow events. I lived in Pulaski, so I know what it's like to drive that corridor there on I-81 from Pulaski down to Syracuse at all hours of the day and night. So I have lived it, breathed it, forecasted all that snow, and I'm happy to be here with you.
And right now, you're in the Tidewater of Virginia. So you don't get quite as much snow or cold as we do, but you still have those memories of what it's like up here in upstate New York.
Oh my gosh, yes, those memories. And I always used to say, gosh, I love snow. I want snow. Be careful what you wish for. Because when I
That's
lived
right.
there, I had snow banks that were way taller than me. So, but I loved it. It was really fun. And it's interesting though, the comparison between snow in upstate New York and snow here in southeastern Virginia, because we have any threat for accumulating snow here,
Mhm.
even 1 to 3 inches. Schools close, the whole area shuts down,
Yeah.
everybody completely loses it. And 1 to 3 inches in Syracuse, I mean, that's nothing.
Yeah, but still, I mean, we need to prepare. And like I said, I think it's always good to go over stuff, even if it is the basics. And first off, let's start about talking about it's a couple of days before the storm, and you're thinking, oh, what can I do around the house to get ready for a storm? What are some of the things that people can do?
Yeah, that's a great question. And a lot of the times people think, oh, we're fine. I'll do it tomorrow. I don't have to worry about it until something happens, until the power goes out. And then they're going, uh-oh, wait, my phone's not charged. So charge your phone, charge your tablet, any medical devices that depend on electricity. Just make sure you have all of those in working order. You have some backup battery packs that you can use for that. Think about backup batteries if you have a generator or a portable power station. Those are certainly good things to have. Be sure you have your medications filled. You might not be able to get out and get to the pharmacy and get that refill. Fill up your gas tank in advance because, again, you don't want to be stranded somewhere, run out of gas, being stuck on the highway. And that's a whole new set of problems there. Another thing you can do, your refrigerator and freezer, turn them to your coldest setting. That way, your food in there will last longer and hopefully you won't have any spoilage if there is a power outage. Another thing you can do is keep your pets inside. I am a huge animal lover. I've got pets myself. And if your pets are indoor, outdoor, just make sure you know where they are. Bring them inside. They want to have that warmth too, because you got to think about things, their paw pads, they can get frostbite. And the pets are so, so important. They're members of the family.
That's right. And we're always reminded in the office, whether it's an email or a phone call when it's about to get cold, the viewers will remind us, don't forget to tell people to make sure you keep your pets in as much as possible when you get the cold weather. And also a good point you mentioned about the gas. One of my rule of thumb is when I get down to half a tank, regardless of what the weather is like outside in the wintertime, I'll fill up. I never let it go below half a tank. That way, that's part of the routine and I don't have to think about it. I did it today. It's sunny today. It's going to rain tomorrow, but I've got a full tank of gas. And that, to me, that's a good way to kind of remember that. Nowadays I notice the standalone generators more and more. And what are the pros and cons as far as having that as protection from power outages, which we get. It could be a simple windstorm or something like that.
Yeah, I am a huge advocate for having backup power, whether that be your traditional gas generator, which again, safety for gas generators, always run them outside, never inside. Keep them out of the garage, away from vents, away from windows. You want those outside because you don't want carbon monoxide poisoning. Now, the other thing which I love are the portable power stations. So these are basically battery powered generators. And these you can run inside. You can plug them in to charge them up, and then you can get them in various different sizes. Some of them can even provide power to your large appliances like your refrigerator. So there are many different sizes of these on the market. That's a great option. They're more affordable. And then finally, the whole home standby generator.
Mm-hmm.
That is the granddaddy of them all, we'll
The
say, that
gold
hooks up
standard. The gold standard.
directly. Yes, can power your whole house. The power goes out, turns on automatically without skipping a beat. So those are going to be your most pricey, but you won't even
Yeah.
notice interruption with that.
But you do have options. You've got that standalone generator like that, like we say the gold standard. But you have other options that are less expensive that can still help.
Yeah, that's what I like. And I actually have a couple of those little portable ones, the portable power stations. So I've got one upstairs, one downstairs. They've got wheels on them. So if I need to plug in certain things, that's something that you can do. If you want to use your microwave, for example, and just cook something real quick, or maybe your toaster oven, you can plug that right into that portable power station, and all of a sudden you've got a hot meal. Or if you're a coffee person and you have a Keurig, maybe plug that in and you still have your coffee or your hot tea or your hot cocoa. And that's something when the power goes out, trust me, that feels so good.
Yeah, that's very important. We're going to take a quick break. If you can stick around with us, we're going to talk a little bit about driving, which is a whole separate thing in terms of winter weather, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Welcome back, everyone. I'm with meteorologist Cheryl Nelson, and we are talking about preparing for winter weather. And Cheryl, the next thing we want to talk about is driving in winter weather. We've had experience, it's early in the season though, and some of those things that we remember from last February and March have kind of gone away. Let's give people a reminder of some of the pointers in terms of driving in snowy and icy weather.
It's always that first storm that catches you off guard, right? You're going, okay, I know how to drive in this. And all of a sudden you start to skid and like, oh, okay. So make sure you have that winter weather emergency kit in your car. You want all of the things: flashlight, battery, sand, kitty litter, shovel, ice scraper, snow brush, all of that stuff that you will probably use. Jumper cables are another good one, some water, some food, just in case you get stuck. Windshield washer fluid is huge. And I say this because I've run out of it while I was driving on I-81, and the tractor trailers throw all of the dirt at you and you can't see anything. So you want the windshield washer fluid. Always want to check that. Gloves, hat, basically have everything in the car that you would need in case you get stuck and you're able to stay warm.
Okay. And I think you're the perfect person to ask this, since you were driving from Pulaski to Syracuse. What advice, from a personal standpoint, would you give people? You're driving on 81 and you run into a squall. It's something that comes up very suddenly, and conditions change in an instant. What were the things that you would do when you would try to drive through stuff like that?
Yeah, and that's scary because I've been there before in those whiteout conditions with the crosswinds and you can't see anything. And I would say too, before you leave your house, make sure your tires are properly inflated, because for every 10-degree drop in temperature, your tire pressure decreases 1 to 2 psi. So that's important. You want to have those snow tires. You want to have that grip with the road as well. You don't want to make any sudden movements. Don't brake fast. You're going to start sliding if you do that. Accelerate slowly. That's super important as well. Clean any snow off your vehicle before you go. I know it's probably going to accumulate while you're driving, but if you do run into one of those squalls, slow down as much as you can. Put your hazard lights on. Make sure all of your headlights are on as well. You want to be seen. Now, I would not pull over to the side of the road unless there is an emergency, because if you pull over, there's probably not many places to go. There's probably going to be snow all over the road, snowbanks, and somebody might crash into you if they lose control. So I would just go as slow as possible, creep along with your hazards on, and get off at the next exit or rest stop or somewhere where you can safely get off and wait that out.
Yeah. And also, and it kind of goes hand in hand with driving slower, but give yourself more space between the car in front of you, because it's going to take longer for you to brake and come to a stop on a snowy, icy road than it is on a dry road. So you've got to factor that in as well.
100%, at least 6 seconds between you and the vehicle in front of you. That's super important. And then don't crowd the plows. I've seen horror stories of the plows throwing rocks at people and breaking windshields. So you don't want that either.
Yeah. One last thing I do want to get into a little bit is, everyone tries to have the SUV, the all-wheel drive. But not everyone can afford an SUV. But you can still kind of travel around even if you don't have the biggest and bulkiest vehicle out there on the road, right?
Oh my goodness, yes. And the snow tires, again, I think that is going to be key for those other vehicles. I have a sedan. I drove a sedan in Syracuse and Oswego County, and I was okay, although I did spin out once, and I spun out once because I was going too fast. I was going 35 miles an hour on I-81, and I shouldn't have been.
Okay,
So
you learned your lesson.
always slow it down. I learned my
Yeah.
lesson. And as you said, keep that distance. If you start sliding, try not to freak out. Know what to do. Take your foot off that brake and steer in the direction that your car is going, but gently. If you do it too much, you're going to spin and make a donut, which is what I did.
Which you don't want to do.
No.
So, I appreciate you taking the time, Cheryl, to talk about this. You've got your website. Let people know very briefly in like 30 seconds about your website, and we can direct people to that.
My website is preparewithshare.com, and share is short for Cheryl. And I focus on preparing families, businesses, all kinds of people for natural disasters and weather hazards. So any type of weather hazard, please go to my website, check it out. I've got amazing tips. I do speaking engagements. I partner with brands, anything I can do to help educate you and to keep you and your family and your property safe.
Well, meteorologist Cheryl Nelson's been a while. It's been great to talk to you. And we are fellow Penn Staters, so I will leave this with you. We are
Penn State. Yes, I gotta love
Thank
that.
you.
I love that. Love the school. Always great to see you, Jim. Please say hello to everybody there back at Channel 9. I miss you all.
I will do that. Thank you, Cheryl.
Okay, thanks.
Download the WSYR Plus app on your TV to stream News Channel 9 for free. Just go to your smart TV, search WSYR Plus in the App Store, and download to start streaming today.